All right, let's now bring in Breitbart's politics editor, Emma Jo Morris. Emma Jo, thanks for joining us on the program here. And I want to talk about what is happening with the politics of the border. According to a new poll, only 20% of Americans believe that Biden has any control over the U.S. border. And meanwhile, new numbers have come out saying that 51% of Americans, 42% of Democrats even, now support mass deportations. This seems to have shifted massively on the left and on the Democrats now, who are faced with the prospect of saying, no, it's okay. We'll just keep having sanctuary cities and bankrupting budgets and the crime and the dysfunction and everything else that goes along with it. What is happening politically with all of this, Emma Jo Morris?
Yeah, that was a fascinating poll that came out this morning. It was almost hard to believe when you first read it. But if you actually think about it and you know the demographics of the Democratic Party inside the United States, you see in the news media, if you're an observer of American politics and you think about the Democratic Party, you think exactly what you just said. The sanctuary city, coastal Democrats that live in the cities and, love illegal immigration because diversity is our strength, and they also appreciate the House help. But actually, the Democratic Party is more diverse than people realize. You also have blue-collar Democrats who are mostly found more toward the interior of the country. And those people tend to occupy lower skilled jobs. They sometimes, don't have a university degree. And that is a significant cohort of Democrats. You have them in Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, around the Rust Belt in the South, where these people are really understanding what illegal immigration means because their wages are being chopped in half. Because they have people who are basically just coming in willing to do the same jobs for less money, willing to do the same jobs for cash. So those people are Democrats too, and I would imagine that those are more of the people who are realizing that actually maybe mass deportations aren't such a bad idea. They're still Democrats, but they're not the Democrats at Columbia University lawn.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about those guys in a second, but just on that question with the cities, your outlet Breitbart puts out all sorts of stories, covers very well a lot of the mayhem that goes along with this illegal migration crisis, from petty crimes to much more hideous stuff. And that predominantly hits in a lot of these cities that once were Democrat strongholds. Now, I've heard people say these places are never, ever going to go and wind up voting for a Republican. But is there a chance that some of these cities may start to lose their Democrat tinge in the face of what's being done to them by the White House?
Let's think. Listen, I don't like to put money down, but I would also say never, because what you're seeing in these cities too, go to the Upper West Side, let's say, where all the I'm with her voters are, and you'll see that public schools are being shut down to house migrants. You'll see that pharmacies are closing because, like you said, petty theft. Of people who are just basically coming here with nothing in their pocket and desperate. You're seeing hotels in Midtown that are overrun, that have basically turned into homeless shelters for illegal migrants. This is getting out of control in these blue cities, and I think that there are a lot of people who like to be, polite at dinner parties and not mention this in public, but maybe when they're one-on-one in the voting booth, they're going to start thinking about what their cities and what their areas look like and what kind of place they want to raise their kids in. These people are engaging in society just like the rest of us, and it's impossible to miss. It is impossible to miss, especially, I live in New York, especially in a place like New York. You cannot walk 5 steps without seeing the ramifications of this. In the meantime, too, Trump is stuck here, right, because he is in this very serious case he's in that has to take up campaign time because it's so serious and pressing.
Yes.
He is going around campaigning, and he's campaigning in Harlem, and he's campaigning in the outer boroughs, and he's campaigning on construction sites. And I'm hearing that he is going to be campaigning at Madison Square Garden. So
wow.
While this is all going on, while people are experiencing the utter destruction of their cities, of their blue cities, of their tolerant cities, Trump is here, and he's delivering his message, and who knows, it could be resonating.
Yeah, well, and in terms of just the sort of the message to kind of ordinary Americans, that there's other thing we're seeing on the left right now, which is all these insane campus protests. We're going to talk a bit more later in the show about this, but we have now seen liberal arts kids who wouldn't survive 2 seconds under Sharia law basically occupying these campuses, cheering on Hamas. Has the left completely lost it here? And is the Biden administration caught between these sort of two stools of mainstream America and the radical left, which hates Israel and, is full of all this anti-Semitic lunacy on the other, and now doesn't know how to respond? How are they responding? Can they respond?
Yeah, it's an issue. This is like a sectarian conflict on the left, where you had this horrible, obviously barbaric attack in Israel on October 7th, and then you had the kind of older style Democrat liberals, who were obviously horrified and appalled, and took the traditional stance, which is, Israel's in a war and we support them in their war. But then you have this subset of Democrats who are progressives, who support, yes, that's right, Hamas does observe Sharia law, and they are Muslim Brotherhood, and who somehow are sympathetic to Hamas. And they are obviously the loudest voices in the room, but they are definitely not a majority of the Democratic Party. But that being said, Joe Biden has a real issue.
Yeah, look, it's a huge problem for it. You can see it. He's now had to basically do the find people on both sides kind of argument about this, which is pretty incredible.
That's exactly right.
And ironic. Emma Jo Morris, we're going to have to leave it there. Check out Emma Jo's stuff on Breitbart. It's absolutely fantastic.